All right. Today we've got a little bit of wiring we got to tidy up. So this machine has been running pretty good. We've got almost all the code sorted out. I've got one for a rear differential lock issue, which is actually a wiring issue. So the forward harness on this vehicle, when I swapped everything over, I did not swap the forward harness, and there's 3 wires that run in the forward harness to the chassis harness that control the electrical input from the fuse box to the rear harness and the axle lockers. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an overlay. We're going to do a wire overlay on that today, so I can show you kind of what that's all about, and you can kind of follow along. So enjoy. All right. First step, disconnect the negative lead on the battery. Get that out of the way. I'll get a little rag to separate that terminal from the clamp. The wiring is pretty tight in this truck, as you can see. Get a lot of systems, additional systems that are packed into it. So try and keep it as organized as possible. It's easy to work on. And so one of the things that I've done with this truck is I've made a 3D printed panel that supports the aux beam control box, which is right here, right there, as you can see, and a couple of bus bars and some relays, and then there's some relays underneath, and a couple of circuit breakers. So if you're interested in the file for this, just shoot me a comment, and I'd be happy to provide it. It's super easy to print, just all set up. It just makes things a lot easier. Slide that out. Remove this cover. Extra space. Go. So you can see that's essentially the plate that I made. There's a couple of relays that you can see underneath there that are controlling some of the electrical items. But what we really need to get to is the harness that's under here. I'm going to try and do this without having to disconnect everything. So It looks cold out right now, but I'm taking advantage of the nice weather here. Actually sitting at about 5 degrees Celsius right now. It's supposed to get up to 7 today. So, makes it a good day for working outside, at least relatively. When you're living in northern Canada, it's about as good as it's ever going to get in the wintertime, especially in Edmonton. So, not going to see if we can get this truck sorted out today. Just in case you don't know, this truck's kind of been through the ringer. So, this is the 2.8 diesel version of the Chevrolet Colorado. This one is a 2016 model originally. And I say originally because one could make the argument that it really isn't anymore. So I blew up the motor on this. The motor, like itself, is actually a pretty reliable unit. Obviously had some issues, but pulled the motor out of it, and what I ended up doing, I couldn't get support from GM for a new motor. It was going to be too expensive and too time consuming. And what I mean by that is like the delivery timelines weren't great. So what I ended up doing is I bought a used salvage title 2021 ZR2 model of this truck out of the States. It was in a rollover. I'll include some pictures here so you can kind of see it. But it was in rough shape. Like that thing was wrecked, properly wrecked. They rolled it over, but the engine, drivetrain, and everything else was in great condition. So I got that at a pretty decent price. We imported it back into Canada, I guess I should say. And that allowed me to have a donor. So obviously that donor wasn't the same year model. There's there's pretty significant amount of electronic differences between the 2 year models. And a lot of the electronic components really don't talk to each other. It's even difficult to program them to get them to talk to each other. So what I ended up doing is essentially taking the frame, cab, front clip, box, and kept that and of the 2016, and then I transferred everything out of the 2021 over. So, which was pretty in depth because, like, obviously, that involved like a full strip down of both vehicles. So this truck was stripped down, interior of the cab was stripped down to nothing. Like there was nothing left in it. And I took all the components out of the 2021, and I took them and transferred them into the 2016. So when I did all that, obviously it's been a lot of programming, a lot of setup. There was a couple of components that I didn't swap out, namely the front suspension, and essentially everything else was swapped. The reason being, like, the 2021 had a lot of features that I wanted to keep, right, or improve on the 2016. So taking those stock components allowed me to kind of have the best of both worlds in a way. You know what I mean? So I ended up being able to swap everything out. All right. So in doing that swap, I gained a lot of functionality in the cab. So I've now got heated steering wheel. I've got the updated software package from the that could be my problem, from the 2022. Oh yeah, look at that. I think I found my my winch problem. I got a couple of leads here that run into the switch panel that are pretty significantly damaged. So I'll strip those back and I'll fix those when I reinstall them. That might help me sort out that problem. So a lot of these upgrades were nice to haves, really, but like when you're in northern climates like here in Edmonton, I can't understate the value added by having a the value added of having like stuff like a heated steering wheel, and obviously it's really nice. And I've been enjoying that. But the flip side is, because this 2016 year model wasn't wired for that, or it wasn't a stock option for that year model, the resulting workload, essentially I had to change the whole harness inside the cab, outside the cab, like all the harnesses. And when I looked at the forward harness, initially it looked like all the wiring was there that was going to be required in order to do the job. The challenge is that obviously I'm missing 3 wires for the rear lockers. So I'm just going to essentially take the harness. I kept all the harnesses out of the 21. I took the wiring, the 3 wires that are specifically integrated in that harness, because it's a huge job to change that front harness out. I got to pull the whole front clip off. I didn't really want to get into that. So I'll overlay those 3 wires so that they can go where they need to go, and it'll be good to go. So we've got this mess off the section here. We'll kind of tuck that back up over the battery so it's out of the way, because we're going to need access to get in here. So if you haven't seen the removal of the battery box on these trucks, I'll show you that right now. Flip this over. All right, so here's your battery box right there. Or sorry, not your battery box, your fuse box right here. So you can see it is located right here. In order to remove this, you need to, there's 3 fasteners on top. Super easy to do. Take this. So these 3 fasteners connect into the connectors that go into this assembly, and so they just essentially suck those connectors up. But in order to get the center piece, which holds all the fuses and some relays and stuff, you got to get this out, and that's done through these tabs on the side. So I'll show you how to do that now. I just got to go get a screwdriver here quick. What you're going to do, there's these little tabs on the side. You can kind of see them here. I'll show you. So you can see it right here. There's 3 on each side of the box. You're going to just rotate those tabs out so that it'll release that fuse panel. So you're just going to rotate your screwdriver a little bit and then pull up on your fuse panel so that you can get it up over its little retainer. Like that. I might have to disconnect this lead. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, that's 2, 3. Doesn't take much. Just a little bit of upward pressure as you're holding the box and just get it up over its retaining tab. Oh, That's 5 and 6. Okay, so now that's loose. So that will pull straight up, but it's going to want to pull all the plugs with it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to back these small bolts off. And they're captive, so you don't have to worry about pulling them right out or anything. They'll stay there. And you may have to push these down to get them to spread the connectors from the receptacles. So just push down with your thumb. Lock in still. There. That just separates those connectors out, which you'll see here in a second. Have to back them up just a little bit more. And then they'll just separate out nicely. There we are. Harness out of the way. This lead right here. All right, so this is an 8mm captive nut. Pull that right off the stud. Obviously, don't do this if your battery is still connected, or you'll be in for a shock, we'll say. Okay, so there's also on the bottom, this is your main power lead. So this connects your fuse panel to your battery. So this is where your power in comes from. So that's kind of tucked underneath here. So I'll remove that as well, just to get the whole assembly out of the way. This one is a 15mm. Nope. 13mm. Yeah. 13mm. So. Put the wire off. And put it back on just so that you don't misplace it. Alright, there's your panel removed. You can see on the bottom of the panel it's labeled. So you've got your large one, which is X1, X2, and X3. So that's how it's all labeled in your manual as well. In case you get curious. So right now, I need to run wires. So I've got access to these connectors now. So I need to get access to the backside of these connectors, open them up, and then I can get the wiring spliced in. So I'll go grab the wire and we'll go through it. All right, so I need X1. X1 is this large one right back here. Okay, so you can see I've already got a jumper connected there. That is because I did not want to swap my windshield washer bottle fluid out. I didn't want the extra sensor there for the windshield washer fluid level. I don't really care about that, so it was easier just to jump it across to get rid of that problem in its entirety. So I need to install pins up here, so 1 and 2, and then one on the other side down here, and then link it all into this harness and then route it underneath. So there's a couple of different options to do that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull this support piece out it's not that hard to do, and it is in the way to do a proper job here. So I'm going to just pull the support bracket out so that we can get in there and actually do the wiring. So for this, there's 3 bolts, 1 right here, 2 and 3. One's down in here. So your 10 millimeter bolts, and just rip them out, and that whole piece will come off the tray that it's attached to on the bottom. And you can get it right out of your way. There we go. Comes out just that easy. All right. So this is what you're looking at. You get access to all your harness right in here that runs up into the forward harness, which is the X1. So I think it's X102 that I'm going into. It's the forward body portion of the harness. So that is located back down in here. So what we're going to do, we'll rip that out and replace it with our wiring harness that we made. So this is just a real simple way to do things. You create a new line that you can then overlay and tape to the existing harness. And that way you don't have to pull the whole harness out and rip it all apart and everything else. So as you can see, I've got the factory connectors. So these connectors you can purchase through, I got mine through Mouser. There's a few different places that you can get them. Mouser.ca. And all you do is you just have to find the connector in your maintenance manual. It gives you the numbers, it gives you the connector type, and then you just punch in that OEM part number into the Mouser website, and it pulls up the connector and all the subsequent terminations, and then you can just build what you need to build. It works great for doing stuff that's kind of off the cuff and you want to use existing electrical infrastructure and just tap into stuff and whatnot. It works good for that too. All right. So next step, we got to get at X102, so we got to open that up. All right, let's get you right in here so you can see what I'm looking at. All right, so I've got some wiring that I've added in here for the block heater and battery heater and the charger. And that just, when I plug in, it maintains my battery and keeps my battery warm and my engine block warm so that I can actually start it when it's minus 50 out. But that's all right there. We'll tuck it in the other way. Roll that back up after. So this is the connector right here. So I got to pull that up and out so I can get access to it, and we can add those wires. Okay, you disconnect this harness. So there's a red tab up on top here. That's your safety latch. We'll just push that back and then push down and pull the lever down, and that separates the 2 plugs like that. And the piece that I need to add into is on this plug here, which means I gotta get access to the backside of it. So I'll fix this side while I'm here, so it is been released. So let's get that snapped back in. Good. Get it out of the way. All right. So I need to run the wires from here over to here. Yep. So I need to run the wires from here over to here. I want to take as direct a route as possible, but I don't want to weave wires through here if I can avoid it. So I got to get the back shell off this plug, which is going to involve me cutting a zip tie, holds the harness onto the back shell. Get in here and do that quick. Being careful not to damage the back shell itself or the harness for obvious reasons. There we go. Should be able to just pull that here. Just like that. Okay, so now I push down right here. Use something a bit more pressure. There we go. That just pops right out of its housing, and then I can back this whole back shell out. That's what it is. So this latch here, if it's not fully forward, it won't actually release fully from the back shell. So you got to do that, and then you can get in here and just do the same thing. Pop it out. There we go. So then you can remove that whole back shell of the walker and everything, just nice and easy. And now you've got access to your wiring. So I got to get this in a position where I can work with it. There's a whole lot of slack. So there it is. All right, so we'll pop these out. Get a couple of picks here. See if we can rotate this so it's easier to see and work on. I don't know if we got enough play. So 1, 2, and 5 on this side. The smaller ones. Those are the ones I got to pull out and drop wiring into. So there you have it. That's what the little plug looks like. Just pull through it. I'm just going to pull 3 of those out for the wire placements. Two. That's that one. And 5. There we go. All right, and just like that, with the YouTube magic, it's done. All right, so these are all terminated, and these are all terminated. These ones don't require seals because they're sealed in the box. These ones do, so you get all those seals and everything you need on whatever site whatever location you're buying your supplies from. Moser was good to me. All right, hop in here. So purple and white. All right, as an added cable management security piece on these, there's a little tab right in here. You have to disengage that tab like so. Popped it this way. That allows you to remove and install any of these individual wires. So if you're struggling to get stuff out, it's because there's a locking tab. So just pop that open. Once that's open, it makes it a lot easier, obviously, because there's nothing in your way then. Okay. So white. Wiggle. Seat. Yeah, you should hear it click. So that's good. Excellent. Click. And then hole 5. Okay. Right. Click. All good. All right. So those are installed. So now I can lock that connector back up. Good to go. You know those wires are nice and secure. Now what I'm going to do is reinstall this back shell, but I'm going to tape these wires up a bit more now that I can see how much length I need protected there. You can get your hands on some fabric tape. That's what you want to use. It doesn't react negatively to, all the common automotive stuff. So it'll just help you keep everything looking good for longer, and it'll help protect it for longer, which is more important. Use this stuff. Just wrap it up. Make sure I get a good cover on all my wires. It's good like that. And then I will actually, if I have enough space here, which I don't, so I would wrap it up with the harness, but I'll just use a zip tie for that. All right. Get this wire sorted out and installed on the next bit. This one should be relatively easy. More or less the same process it was before. We're just going to add in to the harness. All right, so the connector lock on this one's a little more dramatic, but it's essentially the same thing you're trying to do. I'm going to unlock the connector so you can add so you can get the wires in. It'll unlock here for me. There we go. So that just slides right out like that. That's one side. Get in and just lever it out. Yep. The other side, they're identical, so don't worry about messing them up. Okay. All right. Push and lock. Lock. This one. Here. Continue. There we go. That's all three. So I don't really like how much strain there is on that right now, so I'm just going to relieve it a bit. I'll remove some of the tape very carefully so we don't damage any of the wires. All right, we got it all taped up. Good to go. Just a zap strap, and we are ready to start putting everything back together the way it should be. So All right, we'll relock this. There you go. Just like new. Perfect. So we'll get this kind of rerouted. Run that line along with the other ones there. Get this out of the way for a minute. And this here. We'll get this kind of situated down out of the way in here so that we can reinstall our support bracket. Okay, let's see what's going on. So, got a hood open indication. Makes sense. The hood is indeed open. That's all I've got. So let's fire it up here. There's that. Okay, interesting. Looks like it might be working. So let's try it. But so in order to do this, I gotta put it in for low. So go to neutral, and then we'll switch it over to low. Yeah, emergency traction control, forward the rest shift in progress. Good. Okay, no issues there. We should be able to engage rear locker. And it's engaged. Should be able to engage front locker. And it's engaged. Look at that. I've got lockers. Sweet. All right. Let's off-road mode's on. It's good. Okay. It's off. We're still in neutral. So I can disengage my lockers. It's engaged. Sweet. Let's go back to too high. Now we'll check our codes, and if we've got no codes, then this truck is fully sorted out. So this has been a long time coming. This truck's been a lot of work, but at the end of the day, like, I bought this truck from the factory brand new, waited for it. It was the first year model of Duramax. I'm a little personally attached to the truck, so and I wanted to get another 10 years out of it. So I did a complete swap, and now everything is pretty much good to go, I think. Going through the scan here. A couple of codes on the BCM we'll have to check out. All right, scan complete. Let's check out BCM. Tail lamp circuit, short to battery, yeah. Tail lamp circuit open, yeah. So all the tail lamp stuff is good. They're aftermarket tail lamps, and they're just set up differently. They're LEDs. Tire pressure sensor missing references. That's fine. All of those are good, so I'm not concerned about any of those. Lost communication with radio on Ethernet bus. Interesting. This one's a new one. I'll have to take a look at that. Humidity sensor. Yeah, that's been there. And radio. And this is the microphone specifically is the thing I was talking about. The rear view camera, I think I should be able to clear that because it has been working fine. So let's clear all DTCs. And then we'll rescan and see what comes back. Okay. That is pretty darn good, I think. Humidity sensor, temperature circuit, high voltage. Yeah, so that's the only real thing that I've got going on right now. I am happy with that.